Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loaders 15, where I'll be giving you 6 of my best bets for tomorrow's race. And yep, you heard that correctly. I will be giving you 6 of my best bets for tomorrow. Now, if you followed me from day dot and you followed all my work, some of you might remember that I used to work with a YouTube channel called The Punters Page. And every Saturday we would do a Saturday Super 6. So it kind of maybe going back down memory lane, but it might not be every Saturday I do this, but it's just that tomorrow, when I was looking through the cards, I fancied quite a lot, and we'll get stuck into those in a minute. But just reflecting on how today's results went, just the one winner in the end, but it was our nap with Gaef in the Coronation Cup. Put up here last night at 6-4. He was well supported throughout the day, touched even money for quite a while, but I think his final SP returned 11-10, which is nearly even money anyway. But I thought Will Buick gave him a lovely ride from the front. He judged it perfectly. I was a little bit concerned at one point, maybe Anthony Van Dyke, who ran a blinder. To be fair to him, I thought he would really need the run. And if he does come forward for that run, I'd like to see what he could do, maybe in the King George, see where he could go. But yeah, I thought it was a brilliant run from him. And he's definitely going to be one to probably follow next time out. And I thought Stradivarius ran okay in his prep run for the Ascot Gold Cup. I didn't think he was going to win today, but this was the best option they had, because he's a horse that normally you would think that would need a prep run. So yeah, Gaef was a nice winner, and the key to him, I think, is fresh. If he was to run again in a month, I wouldn't touch him with a barge pole. He doesn't normally follow up. He normally needs quite a bit of breaks between his races. Go back and look through his race record, and my point will be proven there. But Gaef went well. In the Oaks trial, we put up a horse called So I Told You. I thought she actually ran okay, and I know some people will say Shane Kelly should have got a bit closer, but she was staying on really strongly. And I think she's still one to keep in the notebook for future races. I think going up in the trip will be the making of her. I could see her running well over 1.5 miles, maybe 1.6 miles. She could maybe run in a race like the Lily Langtree Stakes at Glorious Goodwood, one of those kind of listed Group 3 races for those kind of distances. I think there's a race as well at Doncaster at the end of the season that she could be eligible for on St. Ledger Day. So yeah, definitely a horse to keep following for Richard Hughes. And then Longshot, 50-1, Stanford Raffles. Obviously it was 50-1 for a reason, but he was just a bit of a fun bet, to be honest with you. I thought it was a massive price, and he's normally a horse, he either does really well or he does what he did today and fades out the back of the telly. He never runs an average race. It's either a good race or a bad race with him. And Jane Chapel Hyam has a good record normally of putting horses out and running well after a long layoff. So that was my kind of angle in there, and he'd run okay fresh in the past before. But I think once he goes down the handicap mark, maybe when he's in the high 70s, maybe 80, that's going to be the time to catch him, and possibly in a small field. But that's how today's selections ran, and we'll get straight into the tipping for tomorrow. And we're going to start off with my next best, which comes in the 240 at Newcastle, the rearranged Sagaro Stakes. Now, I'm going to go with a horse here called Withhold, who's currently 7-1 with bookmakers at the moment. At the current time of recording, that price was available with Coral, and I'm going to recommend an each way price here with the 7-1. I think it's a good value bet. I can see him going really well. Trained by Roger Charlton, who hasn't been in form of late since we've resumed racing. He's not normally a stable I like to get stuck into, but I'm with the horse here rather than Roger Charlton and Richard Kingscoats, but for the ride. Now, this horse won the Northumberland Plate in 2018 when he appeared here on the all-weather, and I think that course experience could prove vital. Away from that, he's done really well in his career. He won the Cesarevich. He's a handicapper that's come through the ranks, and he's run okay in group company. He landed a listed race last year at Newmarket when he won by 6 lengths, beating Mark Johnston's Austrian School. And the key to him, I think, is him coming in fresh. If you actually go back through his last few starts, he won this fresh at the Northumberland Plate. He won it on his first run of the season, and then last year he won the Marsh Handicap at Newbury on his first run of the season. And obviously this is going to be his first run of the season tomorrow, so I think we're catching him at the right time. There are some nice types in here, I'm not going to lie. I could maybe have put up Rainbow Dreamer, I think it is, for Alan King. Seems to relish your weather. I think Ispolini could go well, Prince of Arran could go well, but I just think Withhold this is the time to catch him and at a track he's run well at before at 7-1. I think that represents quite a bit of value, and for me, like I said, he's going to kick things off with my next best tomorrow, and he's going to be an each way selection in that race. We then go to the 3 o'clock for my nap with a horse called Waldkonig, currently 5-4 with bookmakers at the moment, trained by John Gosden and Frankie Dettori's but for the ride. Now this horse, loads of people know about him. Lots of column inches have been dedicated for his claims for the Epsom Derby. Now this horse, we all know, if you've followed him, he's a half brother to Waldgeist. He won by 9 lengths at Wolverhampton on debut very impressively, but this is going to be where the hype's going to be proved tomorrow out on the racetrack. And he's, like I said, he is maybe a bit short for some people, but I think at 5-4 he does represent a bit of value. I'm not too concerned really about anything else in the race. I think it revolves around him because from my inside moles at the John Gosden yard, from the vibes I've been getting from them, this thing has been beating everything on the gallops and they're really excited about it. So I just think Waldkonig, he could be a special horse. He's got a top pedigree, obviously, related to Waldgeist. And he could be a special horse moving forward. He's by Kingman as well, who's the new up-and-coming sire. He's kind of the sexy sire everyone wants to follow, and I think this horse could be really special, and I think he's going to do the business tomorrow. And at 5-4, he's going to be my selection, and I think if he does win, he'll shorten up even more in the Derby markets, and he'll probably be one that I think he is favourite at the moment, and he could shorten up even more. We then go for the big one, and this is going to be my long shot in the 3:35, the 2,000 guineas, and I'm going to take on Pinatubo. Now, before I give you my selection, I'll just give you a quick analysis. For me, Pinatubo, yes, he's the right favourite. He deserves probably just to be odds on from his career last year, winning all 6 starts, and his really impressive run when he won the national stakes at the Curragh, beating the field, wasn't it, by about 10 lengths. Yes, I know he's got the form in the book, but I'm a bit skeptical with these 2-year-olds. Most 2-year-olds that tear up the ratings and they're the best in history fail to deliver as 3-year-olds. I can name you a couple called Arazi and Celtic Swing. Now Arazi broke the Breeders' Cup track record, I think, or he won it so impressively. Go back and watch the replay. It was nearly 30 years ago, and I remember when I was working at Sky, I had some banter with Alex Hammond about it because I never heard of Arazi either, but when I went away and researched about him, yeah, he was definitely a terrific 2-year-old, and so was Celtic Swing, who won what was the Racing Post Trophy about 20 years ago very well, and he got one of the highest ratings of all time. I think he was the highest rated, but then he failed to live up to expectations as a 3-year-old. He did win the Group 1 Prix de Jockey Club, if I remember, but he was turned over as a short price favourite in the Guineas. And for me, the vibes from Charlie Appleby's yard haven't been great from what I've heard from my sources in Godolphin. It's been a bit mixed. They've been maybe putting a brave front on it, and at 5-6, I don't want to be getting stuck into something like that. Charlie Appleby can do it. He's a very good trainer who's been doing really well in the last couple of years, becoming Godolphin's #1 trainer. But for me, I think you've got to take him on, and especially, like I said, these 2-year-olds, unless they're Frankel, which Pinatubo could be Frankel, they've got to go and deliver it at 3. It's all good doing it at 2, but a lot of 2-year-olds do very well and then we never see them again, or they're never quite the same. So for me, I've got severe reservations over Pinatubo if he's going to be up to it tomorrow. And I think maybe the mile won't suit him as well. I think all that speed he's shown early on, that won't suit him, and it's going to set up a closer. Now, the other horses, just mentioned, Aidan O'Brien, I don't think really his colts this year are that good. I'm not really taken with Arizona. I'm not taken with Royal Dornoch. I'm not taken by Wichita. I think they're a weak bunch, even though he does have to be respected with his fantastic record in the race. Godolphin will also have Military March. Not sure about him. I was doing a bit more research in him today, and I don't know. Saeed bin Surah doesn't strike me as maybe... He is a good trainer and I like him, but it just something about him maybe puts me off, and even going forward for the Derby, wouldn't be convinced. I nearly did put up Al Sahel. Yeah, good horse, travelled lovely into all his races, but then when push came to shove, he just didn't get over the line, even though he did try his heart out. And I'm not sure, again, is he going to learn from his 2-year-old days? Maybe not. Kamiko done nothing wrong, done very well in his career. Obviously, he won at Newcastle, the rearranged Verton Futurity at Newcastle, but again, not so sure, not really that keen on him, and I would swerve him, even though Oisin Murphy and Andrew Bolden, they've been speaking very highly of him. For me, he's not there. Kinross, Rafe Beckett's not in form, and for me, I'm not really. He's not even made my shortlist, to be honest with you. I just overlooked him, put Lyon for him because Rafe Beckett's not in form, and I didn't like his run either at Newcastle, even though he was favourite, I think, for that race. But the one I've come up with, and the one that some of you might be aware of if you listen to the podcast that I did on In the Saddle, Kenzai Warrior, I've been all over this horse for this race since the end of last year. Thought his win in the Horace Hill Stakes at Newmarket was very, very impressive. He didn't get the best run that day under Jack Mitchell, who I think was aboard. He was pretty much up the arse of a horse called Impressor for Marcus Dragodin, and then when he finally did get out, he stayed on really strongly. Now, even though that was over 7 furlongs, he actually ran at Salisbury on debut over a mile, and he made all pretty much from the front that day. But I think the tactic from Roger Till, what I've heard, is they're going to try and just sit off the pace and then come with a late run, and we know he's going to be doing his best work late on. And they also, as well, Roger Till, don't underestimate him. He actually had a second place runner in this race back in 2018 with Tip to Win, so he can do it. And at 33 to 1 in places with Jason Watson but for the ride, I think that's massive value. And there are some firms paying out 4 places, and at 33 to 1, I think he's definitely got a massive chance. And for me, he's going to be the one I'm cheering home. Yes, Pinatubo, it would be great for racing and to have another sexy horse, but for me, I don't think he's going to cut it. Obviously, I could look very foolish this time tomorrow, but yeah, I think I'm not with him at all. And that's my thoughts on the 2000 Guineas, and Kenzai Warrior is going to be my long shot. We then go over to France for the 425 at Lyon Parilly in the Griffet Stakes. I don't know how you say it. It's a Group 2 anyway. And the one I like here is Mkfancy, 7 to 2, just a straight win bet I'm recommending here. And this will go in the extra column which we invented earlier this week. Trained by Pierre Brandt, and Maxime Guyon is booked for the ride. Now, the key to this horse is cutting the ground. Forgive him his run last time behind Ocean Atlantique, who's boosted that form. The ground was too lively for him at Chantilly, and the key to him is cutting the ground. Now, they've had plenty of rain at Lyon. I remember I saw a race there, I think it was the other day, when they had a hailstorm, and it's made the ground really heavy, and that's going to suit him. He's a Group 1 winner as well. He won the Criterium du Saint-Cloud in the autumn last year, so that was on soft ground, so that's definitely going to be his gravy. I think that was too bad to be true, and you can forgive him that run. I think on better ground that's going to suit him, he's got to be value there. Maxime Guyon and Pierre Brandt have a good relationship together. She started not so good when French Resumption resumed, but she's had a few more winners since. And I just think Mkfancy, if connections can get him spot on, he could be a runaway winner of that race. We then go to the 520 at Newmarket with a horse called King Ragnar. Now, I love this name because if you watch The Last Kingdom, great television show on Netflix, go and check it out if you haven't done so already, where they got Ragnar. Yeah, this horse, Ragnar, King Ragnar, I should say, is trained by Roger Varian, and David Egan is booked for the ride. Now, I thought this horse was well treated off his mark of 81, and that looks really workable. He's going to be carrying bottom weight tomorrow and getting so much weight from his rivals. And he's run okay in his career so far. Finished second a couple of times at Newbury. Once was at Newbury when he finished second. I think he finished second maybe at Chelmsford. But then he won last time out at Newcastle. And I thought he did it quite snugly in the end under a hands and heels ride, even though he only just got up. But I think when he eventually steps up to 7 furlongs, he could be, that could really see him come into his own. But I think he represents value at 11 to 2. And I think he'll be doing all his best work late on. I think the track will suit him, and at 11 to 2, I think that represents value. And Roger Varian stable, they've been going okay of late, But like I said, I think this mark is very workable. And for me, I'm going to recommend the dirty each way tactic there. And hopefully he can run a big race for us. We then end at Lingfield in the 8.25 for the Twilight card. I thought Ty Power here looked very well handicapped off a mark of 61. He's 3-1 with bookmakers at the moment. Trained by Andrew Bolden, who's operating at a 36% strike rate at the moment. And Rob Hornby is but for the ride in the King Power colours. Now this horse is a half brother to Auxerre, which won the Lincoln handicap last year, and Manuela de Vega, one of my favourite fillies for Rafe Beckett. She came fourth in the Epsom Oaks last year. She's a top class filly, and this pedigree, especially on the dam side, is very nice. Now this horse is actually by Kingman, like who we already touched about, is the upcoming sire, and I just think this horse is too well bred to he's got to be worse than a mark of 61. I think he's got to be better than his mark of 61. He's going up in trip tomorrow, which will really suit him, and his novice form wasn't that bad, even though he was beaten quite far, but he was just outpaced, and I think was just crying out for a trip. But I think he's definitely going to be a horse to keep on side this year. He could be one of these 3-year-olds that go through the handicaps. He could maybe improve 20 pounds, or he might not. But for me, I think he represents value tomorrow at 3-1. And with the Bolden stable in good form, I think that's a good bet, and he's just going to be the solid win-only bet. So they're my 6 best bets for tomorrow. Just recapping, in the 240 at Newcastle, we go with Withhold each way at 7-1. We then go My Nap, which is in the 3 o'clock at Newmarket, with Waldkonig at 5-4. In the Guineas, my Longshot, the 3.35. Kenzai Warrior at 33-1 each way with 4 places. We then go to Lyon Parilly in the 4.25 with Mkfancy. We then go back to Newmarket again for the 5.20 with King Ragnar, dirty each way at 11-2. And we end at Lingfield in the 8.25 with Ty Power at 3-1. So they're my 6 best bets for tomorrow's racing. If you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button here on my YouTube channel for more videos. You can also follow me on social media as well using my handle, which is at LuckyLoaders15. You can check out my website as well for a full portfolio of my work, which is www.chrisloaderracing.co.uk. Please gamble responsibly, and we'll be seeing you soon.